Hello friends, welcome back to Bridge the Gap Engineer. My name is Dr. Nathaniel Sawyer. I'm a professional engineer with more than 12 years of experience in the industry. Today we'll be continuing with our series on the guide to registration, focusing on technician, understanding the ECSA outcome, focusing on Group B. Just a disclaimer, the presentation is not on behalf of ECSA. However, it is a presentation based on my experience, knowledge, and research of the registration process. The information provided in this presentation is based on the ECSA official competency standard. Candidates should ensure that their submission aligns with the ECSA guidelines and best practice. These documents serve as a guide and should be used alongside the official documentation for comprehensive understanding of the competency requirement. This presentation provides an in-depth understanding of ECSA registration requirement for professional engineering technician. It aligns with ECSA competency standard, which is R02, and focuses on the essential engineering outcome that defines professional competency. The objective of this presentation is to guide candidates in demonstrating competency in managing engineering activities and effectively communicating technical information in line with the prescribed outcome. Now, let's look at the objective. The objective of this presentation is to explain what a well-defined activity is. Additionally, it is to clearly define and illustrate outcome 4, managing engineering activity, outcome 5, communicating clearly in engineering activity. This will be achieved through real-world application and practical examples to ensure that candidates understand the competency indicators and expectation for professional registration. Now, before we look at the outcome, we need to understand what a well-defined engineering activity is. Defined engineering activity is characterized by several or all of the following as outlined on the screen. The scope of practice is defined by the techniques applied, change by adopting new techniques in current practice. B, practice area is located within a wider, complex context with well-defined working relationship with other practice or disciplines. C, work involve familiar, defined range, including people, money, equipment, material, and technologies. D, requires resolution of interaction manifested between specific technical factors with limited impact on a wider issue. E, are constrained by operational context, defined work package, time, finance, infrastructure, resources, facilities, standards, and code, applicable law. F, demonstrate risk and consequences that are locally important but are not generally far-reaching. If the project or the activity covers this, therefore is considered as a well-defined engineering activity. So you need to be able to test your activity, whether it fits in within these factors. If it doesn't, therefore it's not a well-defined activity. If it does, therefore it's a well-defined activity. Now, outcome 4. Outcome 4 talks about managing part or all of one or more well-defined engineering activity embroidered in your work. Now, in terms of outcome 4, it's broken into 2 parts. 4.1 states how you managed yourself, priorities, processes, and resources in doing the work that you are assigned to do. For example, a bar chart. What is expected of you here? It's expected of you that you will explain how you manage yourselves, demonstrate how you organize and manage your time effectively to meet project deadline, prioritization, You need to show how you identified critical tasks, prioritize them, and allocate time and resources effectively. 3. Processes. You need to explain the process you used to ensure the successful completion of the work, such as the project plan, risk assessment, and implementation strategy. You need to explain how you conduct the processes to ensure that the project completes on time. Resources. You need to provide details on how you managed resources, each manpower, explain how you manage material, how you manage finances, how you manage resources to achieve the project objective. The continuation of the expectation. You need to talk about time management. Use Gantt or bar chart to illustrate your timeline of the project milestone, demonstrating how your tasks were planned and executed within the deadline. Prioritization. Describe how you focused on high impact activities such as preparing critical drawings or conducting site inspection before secondary tasks. Resource allocation. Explain how you ensure material are delivered on time to avoid delay, how you effectively allocated team members to tasks for maximum productivity. Now, let's look at an example. How do you demonstrate competency in this outcome? Let's look at one example. In a role as a project engineer for a bulk sewer pipeline replacement, I effectively manage myself, priorities and processes and resources to ensure that the project successfully completes. To manage my time, I developed a Gantt chart outlining all critical milestones such as site investigation, design submission, procurement, construction phase. This allowed me to allocate specific time slots to high priority tasks, such as verifying design calculation, liaising with stakeholders, while ensuring less critical activities were scheduled appropriately. I prioritize tasks by focusing on high impact items first, such as resolving issues with pipe material procurement delays, which has the potential to affect the entire project timeline. So you're basically saying, how did you manage yourself? How did you prioritize yourself? And what processes did you follow in terms of executing your task or work? In continuation of example 1, for process management, I implemented a weekly review scheme or weekly review system where project progress was tracked, risks were assessed, and mitigation plans were devised. For instance, when a delay was identified in material delivery, I immediately contacted the supplier to expedite shipping and simultaneously identify alternative supplier to avoid further disruption. Resource management was another critical aspect. I coordinated with the site team to ensure that the manpower was optimally allocated during peak construction period to reduce idle time and improving efficiency. Furthermore, I monitored project expenses closely to stay within budget using cost tracking software to ensure financial accountability. This strategy ensured that the project remained on schedule, within scope, and meet the required quality and standard. So we are basically saying, how did I monitor myself, manage myself, prioritize tasks and processes? What process did I put in place to ensure I monitor everything that I'm doing? And resources, how do you allocate resources? What did you do to allocate your resources to be able to conduct their work effective. Example 2, as an employer's agent representative, I was responsible for overseeing construction phase of the sewer pipeline upgrade project. My role involved coordinating resources, managing schedule, and ensuring process effectively to maintain project timeline. To effectively manage my task, I developed a structured daily and weekly task schedule, prioritizing site inspection, contractors meeting, and documentation review. I used Microsoft Project to track progress and align daily tasks with contractors' critical part schedule. Additionally, I conducted pre-construction check to ensure that site materials, workforce, and machinery were available before the scheduled activity commence. So we are basically explaining how you manage yourself, how you prioritize activities, and how you process activities and resource availability for your task. Then in continuation of states how you manage yourself, priorities, processes, and resources in doing your work. I coordinated procurement and material delivery, ensuring that essential materials such as concrete, rebar, and pipes were available for the installation without delays. Weekly progress meetings, which were on site with site team, allowed for early identification of bottleneck and effective resolution strategy. So we are basically explaining how you ensure materials, which is resources, are available in terms of availability without delays. I arrange for additional dewatering pumps in the event of water accumulating trenches. So we are basically explaining how you manage activities within the site. My proactive approach ensured that projects remained on schedule, resources were optimized, and risks were mitigated effectively and on time. This experience reinforced my ability to manage engineering processes, prioritize critical tasks, and ensure effective resource utilization, aligning with the project requirements and the industry standards. So you are expected to explain that, how you did it, as we have spoken about it. Now, in terms of outcome 4.2, describe your role and contribution in the work team. What is expected of you here? Describe your role. Clearly define your role in the team, such as project manager, design engineer, site supervisor, or assistant resident engineer or resident engineer, whatever your role is. Number 2, responsibility. Highlight your specific contribution to the project, such as designing systems, reviewing specification, or ensuring quality control. Number 3, team dynamics. Explain how you collaborated with other team members, communicated with them effectively, and resolved conflict to achieve the project goal. Continuation of what is expected of you. The role in a design, for example. As a design engineer, I developed the hydraulic calculation for the water pipeline design, ensuring compliance with design standards. In terms of leadership in execution, I led the team of 5 technicians during the installation phase, conducting daily progress meeting and resolving on-site challenges. Collaboration. I coordinated with procurement team to source material and the clients to ensure project specifications were met. So you're explaining what was your role and what was your contribution. Let's look at one example. As the project engineer, my primary role was to oversee the design, the implementation of the sewer pipeline replacement while ensuring compliance with technical standards and client requirements. My contribution began during the design phase, where I was responsible for performing hydraulic calculations using Darcy-Weisbach's equation to size the pipeline correctly. I also ensure that the design adhered to guidelines and also conducted design review with my senior engineers and incorporated feedback. So we are basically explaining what was your role and what was your contribution. During the construction phase, I led a team of 5 technicians and coordinated daily activities to maintain project momentum. These included conducting morning briefing to assign tasks, review progress report, and address on-site challenges such as unexpected ground condition that requires design adjustment. So you are basically explaining your role and your contribution in the team and who were you collaborating with in terms of those responsibilities. Through collaboration, effective communication, and leadership, I played a pivotal role in ensuring the project was completed successfully, meeting the client's expectation and requirements. My contribution was instrumental collaboration and effective work environment, ultimately delivering a high quality of engineering solution. So you're explaining how you collaborate with other people and what was the effect of your collaboration with the other team. Let's look at the second example. As the employer's agent representative, I played a key role in ensuring effective coordination, communication, and execution of engineering activity within the project team. My responsibility included acting as the link between the contractor and the client and the consulting engineers, ensuring that all parties remained aligned to the project objective. I facilitated weekly site meetings where I provided updates on construction progress, material procurement, and risk assessment. I also collaborated with design team to resolve technical challenges, ensuring that the site implementation aligned with approved specification and compliance standards. So we are basically explaining as an employer's representative what was your role and how did you contribute to the success of the project. Now, in continuation on this example, through my contribution, I ensured that the project's activities remained on track, compliance standards were upheld, and stakeholder expectations were managed effectively. My ability to collaborate, resolve challenge proactively, and maintain structured documentation was instrumental in the success of the project. So we are basically saying what you did and how did you manage this project. For example, in this project as a resident engineer, you will say you manage the contract, you manage activities using a general condition of contract, GCC 2015 or NEC, whichever contract that you use to manage the activities on site, to manage the project based on the contract that was chosen for that project. Now, let's go to outcome 5. Outcome 5 talks about communicating clearly with others in the course of your engineering activity. Now, we are going to be focusing on well-defined engineering work. In 5.1, states how you presented your point of view and compiled report after completion of work. What is expected of you to be able to demonstrate competency in this outcome? This section expects you to demonstrate your ability to effectively communicate technical details, opinions, and recommendation in a professional setting. This involves showing how you convey your ideas, finding to others in a clear and a structured manner, particularly in writing or oral presentation. Number 2, clarity in presentation of ideas. Detail how you structure your argument, your finding, your recommendation. Use example of presentation, meetings, or written communication where you had to justify your point of view. Number 3, compiling reports. Explain the process of creating comprehensive and coherent report post-project, including information on the format, data organization, and technical content use. Number 4, audience consideration. Highlight how you tailored your communication to suit your audience, ensuring that your audience understood your technical point. So this is what is expected of you to be able to demonstrate competency in this outcome. Let's look at one example. Example 1. In the sewer replacement project, I took the lead in presenting my technical finding and recommendation to the project stakeholders during the review meeting. After analyzing existing sewer system capacity issues, I developed a hydraulic model to simulate various flow scenarios. The model results showed that pipe replacement with increased diameter and strategic alignment adjustment would mitigate the overflow problem. To convey this point of view effectively, I prepared a PowerPoint presentation that include diagram, that include flow simulation graph, and cost-benefit analysis to justify the proposed solution. During the presentation, I ensured that my explanation were clear and supported by data, and addressing concerns or questions raised during the meeting by stakeholders. So we are explaining how you presented your work, your point of view, and you address concerns that were raised during those meetings. Let's look at example number 2. During my role as an employer's agent representative, clear and structured communication was essential to ensure smooth project execution. Effectively convey technical findings, progress update, and site challenges during written report, meetings, presentation. One of my key responsibility was compiling and presenting weekly progress reports to the client, consulting engineers, and contractor. These report detailed work completed, risk identified, material procured, material procurement status, and recommendation for corrective actions, ensuring that all stakeholders formed and aligned to the project goal. In addition to this report, I delivered formal presentation during the site meeting where I use PowerPoint slides, technical drawings, and schedules to explain project milestone, delays, and upcoming tasks. So we are basically explaining how you presented your point, how you ensure that everyone is on point in terms of the progress of this project. My structured approach to communication improved project coordination and reduce misinformation and ensure that the project execution adhered to the technical standard and the contractual obligation. So you are basically explaining how you ensure that everyone gets the progress of the project, ensure that information relating to the project is communicated effectively. Now, let's look at 5.2. What does 5.2 expect of the applicant? 5.2 wants you to state how you compiled and issued instruction to entities working on the same task. What is the expectation to demonstrate competency? The expectation in this section focus on your ability to collaborate and provide clear instruction to ensure that the team members or external entities understand and execute tasks effectively. It evaluates your leadership, it evaluates communication skill. So you need to be able to clearly present instruction with clarity. Describe how you provide a step-by-step guide or directive to ensure that tasks were understood and completed as required. Coordinate with team members. Explain how you coordinated with team members or entities, avoiding miscommunication, how you provided feedback, and how you provided update to every entity, every member of the project's team. Let's look at an example. While working on the water project pipeline, which is spanning about roughly 2 kilometers, I was responsible for issuing instruction to the contractor and ensuring a proper execution of tasks. I began by compiling a set of construction drawing and specifications which outlined the project material, the trenches dimension, the bedding requirement, and the valve installation point. During the initial site handover meeting, I explained all the detail to the contractor. I emphasized the importance of maintaining a proper pipe grading and ensuring air valve placement at high point to prevent airlock. So we are basically explaining how we issued instruction to every team member, whether within your team or other entities. To further support the team, I prepared a detailed construction schedule, breaking down the task into weekly goals and assign responsibility to each and every specific thing. Regular site visits were conducted to monitor progress, provide real-time clarification session. For instance, where the contractor countered unexpected soil condition, I reviewed the drawing with the team, adjust the necessary trench method, and issued a revised instruction. I maintained a clear communication through weekly progress meeting and daily update via emails, ensuring that all parties stay aligned with the project objective. So we are basically explaining how did you issue instruction, why did you issue instruction, what was your responsibility, how did you compile all the necessary instruction for the contractor, for your team, or for other stakeholders to be informed of what is happening on site. Let's look at example number 2. As the employer's representative, I was responsible for issuing clear, precise, and traceable instruction. Why do we say traceable instruction? Because it needs to be documented within the instruction book. You shouldn't issue an instruction without it being traceable, either via email or via an instruction book. Everything must be recorded. It's very, very important. To address issues, I issued a formal instruction where I explained the importance of using correct material to maintain pipes stability and prevent differential settlements. So you are basically explaining or providing instruction to the contractor how he should execute any challenge that he faced on site in terms of the soil condition or any problem they might have encountered on site. Additionally, I ensured that the contractor acknowledges the instruction by signing the record and verifying compliance through a follow-up instruction for the final approval. Basically, you are explaining how you ensured that the instruction you issued was actually executed. It's very important that you do that to ensure that all instructions issued are actually complied with. In conclusion, what are the key takeaways here? This presentation has outlined the core competence required by ECSA registration, emphasizing the importance of engineering management, risk management, and contract compliance, and technical communication. By effectively demonstrating this compliance, the candidate can successfully meet ECSA's requirements for professional registration, especially focusing on the Group B outcome. Thank you for joining us in this session. We expect to release more videos. See you in the next video. For help, you can contact us at admin@btge.co.za or on our website. If you found this video very helpful, we kindly request that you subscribe, you share, and you like for it to be able to reach a greater audience. Thank you for joining us in this episode of the journey to registration. Thank you.